Shaheen Gabati is here. He is the member of the NCRI. He's a U.S. educated nuclear engineer, and we're talking about bombing Iran. Shaheen, thanks for calling in and for waiting.
Oh, thank you for having me on the show, and I hope you and all your good listeners have had a good day and good weeks ahead.
Yeah, me too, because dang, we've had tornado after tornado after tornado. We're over it. All right, so the mullahs in Iran, how well are they liked by the people of Iran?
They're actually loathed by the Iranian people. Look, in the past 4 decades, they have executed more than 120,000, and I repeat, 120,000 activists, some as young as 13-year-old teenage girls, simply for standing up for human rights and democracy.
Great.
And I think a lot of good Americans would find it shocking that Iranians are standing up against the mullahs like this for a democratic republic in Iran. There is a very strong, actually, resistance movement inside Iran, led by the People's Mujahideen Organization of Iran, which is a big member of our coalition, the National Council of Resistance of Iran. So basically, the Iranian people want to get rid of this regime. They want to establish a democracy which is friendly to the world and has a modern society. And I don't think that day is too far away, honestly speaking.
Yeah, well, let's hope so. I was hearing the other day that there are people in Iran, people who would be fighting for the mullahs or forced to fight for the mullahs, who are actually putting their guns down and saying, no, we don't want any part of this. If America's coming, we're done.
Well, actually, I think the mullahs, Ashili Hills is the enemy within. I'm talking about the Iranian people themselves. I think you'll find it interesting and enlightening that there have been 5, and I repeat, 5 nationwide uprisings against the mullahs in the last 7 years alone. And I'm talking about uprisings that, are pervasive throughout the country, that involves from all walks of life, all age groups, all over the country, Gen Zs, middle age, even elderly, who really want to get rid of this regime. Their chants are down with the Supreme Leader Khamenei and down with the oppressor, being the Shah, the former dictator, or the current Supreme Leader. And as I said, there is a strong resistance movement called the National Council of Resistance of Iran, which is an alternative to this regime, which is incidentally led by a woman called Madam Mariam Rajavi, was a 10-point plan for the future of Iran, which calls for total equality, a non-nuclear Iran, an Iran which believes in market economy, which is has no official religion. There's separation of government and religion, and a very, very modern, and I would say Jeffersonian plan, which has been supported by the majority members of the House of Representatives in a bipartisan way, and also dozens of the U.S. senators. And the support is going internationally and obviously inside Iran, and more people, dissidents, by taking huge risks, are joining in because they want to wrest their country from the hands of the mullahs, and as I said, bring it to where it belongs as a contributing, constructive country.
And bring it back to where it was. I mean, you had it for a while, then they took it away. But let's talk about this. President Trump is really, really sick of the leadership of Iran, bombing via the Houthi rebels, supporting Hamas, Hezbollah, terrorist groups. And so since they are feeding the demon, he's sick of it. He hates war. He doesn't like to start wars. He wants to end the wars, but he's not going to put up with it. He's eventually going to go over there and just take them out.
Well, we think the ultimate solution is the regime change by the Iranian people for the Iranian people.
It's not going to happen soon enough. It's not going to happen soon enough. President Trump only has 4 years.
No. That's going to happen much sooner. Actually, Madam Rajavi, the president-elect of the National Council of Resistance of Iran, testified online because she's based in Paris before the U.S. Congress in the House. And she said, look, we do not need any boots on the ground. We do not need any money. We don't need any weapons. All we want is good policy. Now, what does a good policy constitute? Choking off the mullahs' financial lifeline. Do not allow them to sell oil and gas so they can finance all their malign activities. And also, in addition, recognize the rights of the Iranian people to stand up against the regime, to bring about a regime change by themselves, and particularly by the resistance units which are the people who are actually fighting on the ground, to stand up against the Revolutionary Guards, because these Revolutionary Guards are the ones who are holding the regime in power, which, as you said, is not only killing Iranians, but also a menace to the whole world and the region, especially for the drive to acquire nuclear weapons. And Fawn, I think you'll find it interesting that our movement was the one that exposed the mullahs' drive to acquire nuclear weapons, because we have insiders throughout the country and even in very, very sensitive positions inside the regime, obviously providing information to the resistance without the regime knowing, by taking a huge risk.
Well,
So,
Shaheen, with all due respect, we've known that they were making a nuclear weapon for 20 years. We've known this. They're lying about it. They're hiding it. Nobody's done a dang thing about it. And I realize this movement is real. I get that. But it's not going to happen soon enough, because the mullahs are selling oil to China and to Russia and people who are not going to listen to the sanctions that we put on it, because they're fighting their own types of tariff and wars against the Ukraine. So they're not going to listen. They're going to keep buying it. The mullahs are going to have money. They're not going to be stopped by something on the inside. You need some help.
I totally, in a sense, agree that the international community and here the United States has a role to play. And I totally concur with you that the policies of the previous administrations, particularly Obama administration and Biden administration, was
ridiculous.
very, very detrimental. They gave a lot of free pass to the mullahs, and basically they made their job much easier. I totally agree. But despite all these odds, as I said, Iranians people have stood up 5 times in a big time against the mullahs, and the mullahs have never been any weaker. Look, they, in addition to their problems at home, particularly in 2024, they had major, major setbacks in the region. Hezbollah was devastated. Houthis are being, devastated. Their linchpin in the region, the Bashar Assad regime, after 4 decades of being propped up by the mullahs, is gone. So they have never been any weaker. So obviously the tide is turning against them, but you're absolutely correct. The world should be much more vociferous. And when you're talking about not allowing other countries to buy the Iranian regime's oil, then the secondary sanctions comes in. I mean, you have to sanction the companies and entities that buy the Iranian oil. So they will feel the squeeze. I totally agree. That there's much more to be done by the international community. But trust me, the ultimate solution is a regime change by the Iranians. But they, as you said, have to be heard. I think these kind of shows like this are very important. Also, people can go to their congressmen and senators to be on the side of the resistance. And as you said, the maximum pressure policy should continue, but it should be augmented by a political support for the resistance.
Yeah.
The
Well,
missing link on...
you need to be talking to all of the UN parties then, because a lot of them think we should stay out of it and mind our own business. America's ready to go. We're ready to just knock the mullahs right off their chairs. We've got an aircraft carrier over there bombing the crap out of the Houthis so that free trade can go through the Black Sea. We're not putting up with terrorism. We're not doing it. So if the mullahs are not taken down by your internal uprising and upheaval, and I know you guys have been fighting for years and years and years for your freedom, and I hate that for you more than you could possibly imagine. I hate that for you, because the Iranian people are not the problem, except for the ones who chant death to America in the streets. I don't care about them. But the mullahs are not going to stop because of a movement. And I apologize that I disagree with you. I think the movement is fantastic and it has to happen. But it's not just the U.S. You need the whole world, and you're not going to get it. It's not going to happen.
Actually, to be giving a more complete picture, we are doing the same thing in the UK. We are doing the same thing in France. We are doing the same thing in Italy. We are doing this basically in all Western Hemisphere. And the Iranian regime's economy depends on the Western countries. If Europeans also tighten the screws, if they blacklist IRGC as a terrorist entity, things will start to change much, much, much quicker. To put this in perspective, the mullahs have support of less than 4% of the population. And I don't say this out of being against the regime and a spokesperson for the opposition. That's their own internal assessment. And 4% is very nothing. But obviously they have the guns, they have the means, and they are very, very ruthless. But the tide is turning against them fast. But the sooner, obviously, the better for the world and for the Iranian people. So you're absolutely correct.
I agree.
That's the time to act. It's time to act. Words are not enough. But as I said, actually, the mullahs know better than anyone else that when times come to change, it will be from within. And I think that's the voice that has to be heard time and again and has to be supported.
Now, that's the only way the U.S. can be destroyed, too, is within. And we knew that. That's why Trump is president again, because weakness is exactly what the poisonous vipers who are running Iran right now wanted to see. I mean, we were giving them money for crying out loud. So it was crazy. Unfathomable poor leadership. But if they do not take Trump's offer to come to the table and speak about not shifting money to Hamas so that the Israeli war can end, so that we can have the war end with the Houthis, so that we can stop what's going on in Iran, he is not going to wait for your revolution to finish. He's not. He's going to come over and put them down like dogs.
Actually, I think you have got a point. The time is running out. The clock is ticking fast on the Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. Mm-hmm. He's in a great bind. On the one hand, he needs the nuclear weapons program as a strategic guarantor for the survival, and that's why he has spent somewhere like $300 billion with a B on this in the last 30 years, and all from the Iranian people's wealth and capital. Mm-hmm. On the one hand, he cannot afford to give that up. On the other hand, he knows that if he doesn't, then the consequences will be grave. So he's caught in a rock and a hard place. He doesn't have much room to maneuver. And I think, obviously, one has to be vigilant about the fact that they are very cunning and they are always deceitful and they have never been transparent with the world, and there has been huge accountability. But you are absolutely correct. Things are coming to a head. And I think 2025 is a very crucial year for Iran and the rest of the region.
Yeah, and we pray for the people of Iran, and we hope that they fare well in this. But casualties of war are a thing. We have had that in America when we were attacked on 9/11. We've had it in Iraq, Afghanistan. It's happening in Israel. It happens all over the world. It's happening in the Ukraine. I have 30 seconds left. I hope, Shaheen, that you are successful with the Iranian people in your revolution, because every country needs to have one when dictators take over. So our thoughts are with you all, but you may be getting a little surprise in the form of some aircraft carriers in Iran if they don't change their ways. Sir, thank you for your time today.
We have a website, NCRI Iran, NCRI-Iran.org, and people can look at it, and it's updated every day, and they can be getting news from inside Iran that they will not find anywhere else.
Perfect. NCRI.com. Thank you, sir.
.org. NCRI-Iran.org.
Got to go. Okay. Out of time. Thank you, Shaheen. Bye-bye. Shaheen Gabati, member, NCRI.org, U.S.-educated nuclear engineer. Even Iran is sick of the mullahs, and they want them out.